Hello everyone and welcome to Lakeside. Today's Saturday, not Sunday, and I normally do my videos on Sunday, but we're out tomorrow, so I thought I would do my video today. It's quite fortuitous in the fact that I've now reached the point where I need to go to the next phase. I've laid basically all the track work now. The only track I need to lay now is the remaining track along the back there for the storage yard. I've put the underlay down, the Woodland Scenics underlay. I've put that down in readiness so I can just lay track at my leisure now. So that will be really the last part of any track laying. There might be one or two little bits, but basically it's all done. Last week I got my points in from Hatton's to do the crossovers. I ordered 10 of the Pico long points, Electrofrock, to do the crossovers, which I'll show you shortly. So they're all installed. There's no point motors installed yet, so there won't be any trains running today, unfortunately. But my task for next week is to do the storage yard, lay that track down, install the point motors and get all the track up and running. So I'm hoping by next Sunday I'll have 4 trains running on each of the 4 tracks. So that's my goal for next week, if I can, depending on time, to be honest, but hopefully I can do that. Okay, so I will stop waffling and I will show you around the layout to what I've done so far. Okay, so I'll speak to you in a minute. Hello again. Right, we'll start over in the normal corner, which is the corner where the 4th track spurs off and goes into the storage yard. So you can see I've now got track from all points dividing off into the 4 main tracks for the storage yard. So now all I've got to do is lay the rest of the track, and then that's that done. So all the underlay is done for the points. And it all works reasonably well. They all change nicely too. Didn't mean to couple him up to that. Now these will be manually operated. I'm not going to bother about motorising these. I can reach these points absolutely no problem. So I'm not going to waste my time and money, to be honest with you, motorising those points. They are Insulfrog points, which is what I wanted. The only point I will motorise is this one here. So that's that. And then as we walk along, we've got the platform area, which hasn't changed apart from that. So I've now got a crossover between the up and the down line, and the reason I have that is so that if I bring anything over from over there, it will come out of the outside track, this one in other words, this one here. I can take it round the layout, cross over, which I'll show you in a minute, cross over onto this line, and then take it round and cross over onto another crossover, and eventually it will come out onto this track. So I can now come out of the storage yard in whatever lane I'm in and eventually end up on this inner track. So that's the reason why I've got them here. And obviously what I'll have to do, I'll have to stop the trains, which I would do anyway, stop the trains which are running, if there are any running, and make sure that I don't have any collisions as I come across and change from the up line down to the down line, and vice versa. If I want to put one away, it can then come in this direction, which is its normal direction, go through and back, or carry on and end up over there. So that's the crossover for the up and the down line. Probably not prototypical, but it's for my benefit rather than anybody else's, just so that I can get stock from over there onto either one of these 4 tracks. So then as we go over and round the corner, and you can see how far they go up to the very end, and I will obviously put buffers on to stop anything careering off the end, although there will be a board up there anyway eventually. So we get to here. So I've got 2 sets of crossovers here, and again these are all the Pico long express points, because I wanted something where it wasn't a sharp radius again, and so I've got the longest I could get. And so these, again, these aren't motorised as yet, so if we change that, we can now cross over. And this is free to run on the inner track, or I can cross over and again free to run on the second track, and then it can go round and cross over on there should I wish to. So that's the 2 crossovers there. There are more crossovers which I'll get to in a minute. And so we get round to here, and a couple of things happening here. First one is these curves which were leading up to the bridges. Now when I did this originally, I had these curves much sharper, and you can see the glue line just here. That's where the track was originally, and then it went straight and then into the bridges. And I was looking at this and I'm thinking, oh, I'm really not happy about this tight curve, but I thought, well, I can't really do anything about it, to be honest, because the radiuses here are set, and so I thought, well, I'm just going to have to put up with it. But then a chap called Terry Love, I think that was his name, he wrote a comment and said, why don't you make those curves much more shallow? I said, well, I can't really, because of the radiuses. I don't want to actually change these radiuses, and left it at that. And then I came up last week and I kept looking at these blessed curves and I think, I really do not like these. So I got a yard of track and I just played around with it, and eventually it was evident that what I could do was, if I started about here, so this radius and that radius stay the same, if I started about here, I could actually then take that to a much straighter gradual curve. Straighter gradual curve, does that make sense? A more gradual curve, put it that way. And it worked, surprisingly. I didn't think I'd be able to do that, but yeah, it worked out a treat. So with that, I did this track as well. So I will put a picture up if I can of how it used to look, and hopefully that will come out. And you can see the difference now between, if I go here, you can see that it's now a much more gradual curve, and you can see where it came out here, which was a shame because that was the only kind of real tight curve on the layout, and when you videoed it, it really showed up. So that's that sorted. So I've got a nice gradual curve on both those tracks now, so that's pleased me. So no work on the 2 or 3 bridges as such, but come down here. I've now inserted a point here on that 4th outer track. I've inserted a point there and taken a small branch line out and ended it just before the platform. Now I also had a suggestion from somebody else to do that, and the person involved with that didn't actually know that's what I had in planned anyway. But I had a couple of comments about having the branch line coming over this way. Well, I don't want it over here because I've got areas for car parking that here. And I had 2 comments about opening up this tunnel and going through the wall and bringing it through to create another loop. No, that's never ever going to happen. That's the washroom there, and behind that is tiling and mirrors and so forth. So it's a fake tunnel, and it's just supposed to give the impression that the line carries on. That's really all it is. So I can't drill a hole through the wall, I'm afraid. That will never ever happen. So that's how it's looking at the moment. So I can have just the DMU parked here, waiting to pull out, come across, and come and pick some passengers up and then pull back out again. But in the meantime, obviously I've still got the access for another train to come in and park and go back out, should I want to. And while I'm here, what I've done is I've put 2 girder beams here, which are just placed there. They're not stuck down or anything, they're just placed there in readiness, because again, more suggestions from people that it would be nice to have perhaps a little river linking in from this direction, which I may do, but I won't be cutting this away. It would be, if you like, an underground river coming into that, but it will have supports above here to support the track. I may cut out a little bit just here for it. So let's have a look at the scene from this angle. So that's how it's looking now, and you can see the much more gradual curve I have up at that end. And so because I did it up that end, I obviously had to do it down this end. And with this Woodland Scenics underlay, it's just a dream to take up the track, take up the underlay and reposition it. It's so quick. It's really no hardship at all. So those 2 tracks are now done as well, to look exactly the same as that up there. So really nice gradual curves coming into these curves. And while I was at it, I also did this curve here. So I made that a more gradual curve leading into that bridge. And you can see from here where it used to go. Used to go right up here and then bend back on itself and go in that way. And all I've got left to do now is the same with this one, and I can make that curve there slightly less sharp, and it'll be from here to there, so I can bring that across there almost like a straight with a little bend or curve just here. And then that will be it. So as you can see, most of the track now is down. Just some slight tweaks here and there to do, but really it's basically done. So then we come across to the lift up section, where I've installed the other crossovers. So these are the ones which are opposite handed to the ones up the far end. So trains coming from this direction can change over here onto this track, and trains coming from this direction on the down line can traverse and go over onto the second track. And the lift up section still works as excellently as it did before. Absolutely no issues at all. And again, just point motors to install on here. Bags of room underneath here obviously, so no problems with point motors. In fact, it'd be really easy putting point motors in here because I can lift this whole section up and fit them in the up position. So that'd be a really easy job to do. But I have somewhere, can't think where they are now, but a box of new 12 pack of DCC Concepts IP motors to fit. I only had a few on my previous layout, all the rest were the horrible standard motors which were an absolute nightmare, but the IP ones are beautiful. They work absolutely like a dream. So I've invested in another 12 which I had to remortgage the house for and sell my soul to get them, but I've got it. So I've got 12, so I'll have a couple left over for anything else I might need. And then we're back to here again. So if I stand in the middle of the room and we just do a sweep across the whole layout so you get a better idea. And back to here again. So that's quite an achievement, I think, to get this far now. As I say, that I'm now at the next phase where it's connecting up all the dropper wires, point motors. There's a huge amount of electronics now I've got to do, which is going to take me a long time to do that. So that's my task for next week. It's to install all the motors and all the dropper wires, and that's really where the time was taken up, to be honest with you. It wasn't so much fitting the crossovers, it was the wiring, feeding in feeder wires, wires for the point motors, huge amount of wiring and soldering. And that's really where the time went, rather than actually laying the actual point itself, which was, you know, a matter of 15-20 minutes to do a crossover, but it was the wiring which took the time. I've also gone through and I'm gradually now filling in the spaces between the track, like I've got to here on the platform area where I need to fill in the spare sleepers, but I think I've got up to about here. So I've gone from there all the way around and fitted the missing sleepers where I've been joining the track. So it's all complete right the way round to there, up to the bridge, and I won't do that until the bridge is actually finished, sprayed and weathered and set in. That's when I will put the last of the sleepers in. I've done a few across there, I've done up to here where the crossovers were. And I found a very, very neat way of doing the underlay across here. I thought about it, and what I did was that I laid a strip between the two, inverted, so that the the chamfer was the opposite way up, so that it butted up to that. I then cut a 45-degree chamfer right the way along the edge of this side, cut it both ends, and then set that strip right the way through, laid the crossovers and this piece of track here, laid that over the top. Once I was happy and this was all set down, I then got a scalpel with a very sharp blade, brand new blade, and then just scalpeled a 45-degree chamfer right the way through on both sides, there and there. And it works a treat, absolute treat. There's no messing about with bits and pieces and joins, so that's all one piece. And I've done that with all the crossovers. Works very well. As long as you're handy with a scalpel, got a steady hand, then it works very well. And I think, looking at that, by the time that's got ballast on it, that's going to look absolutely fabulous. So I'm very pleased with that. Makes a neat job. So that's about it, my friends. I want to thank you all from last week's video for all the comments and the suggestions. I've taken a lot of those suggestions on board and actually incorporated them. Thank you for that. I can't incorporate all the suggestions for obvious reasons, like that one over there. There's no way I can drill a hole in the wall. But yeah, you've been really, really helpful. So thank you for that. So it's coming on. It's really coming on quite quickly, much quicker than what I thought. And I've come a long way, I think, since Christmas doing this. And to actually have trains running, okay, they're not running today, but you've seen them running. But hopefully by the end of next week, then I'll have everything powered up and I'll be able to have all my trains running. Well, not all my trains, but my trains running on all the track, put it that way. And I guess the next thing after that will be the start of the scenics. I'm not going to be ballasting yet. I'm going to be plain trains first. I want to make sure that I'm happy with all the track work and that it's all operating fine and as it should do. No silly derailments on certain corners or anything like that. So yeah, I'm getting on very well with that. Very pleased with it. It's never going to be the biggest layout, it's never going to be the most prototypical layout, it's never going to be the best layout, but for me, this is an absolute dream. This is exactly what I wanted. It's small enough for me to cope with, it's uncluttered, I can get to everything, it's not complicated, I haven't got masses of points everywhere, no masses of track to worry about. So yeah, it's absolutely ideal for me. Very, very pleased with it. And I can get to everything as well. And that area is going to be the village area. I can tell you that now. So once I've got the track up and running, I can start building platforms again. Oh, that was another question I had about these platforms. What am I going to do about them? Well, these are purely sacrificial platforms. That they won't be used, but all I'm doing there is using what I had before to give me spacing. So once I'm ready to do platforms, then these will come up. They're not bolted down, they're just totally just resting there. Oh yeah. Seeing the wall there, there was a comment about somebody had written that they detest walls. Why have I got a wall there? Take the wall down. Why am I hiding my stock, which is behind there? Mate, you know, it's my layout. If I want a wall there, I'll have a bloody wall there. As simple as that. And there is a reason for that wall. It's not just to make it look pretty with a retaining wall. There is a reason for that, which I will explain to you all later on, quite a bit later on. But there is a reason for that retaining wall. So the wall stays. That's it, I think. Enough babbling on now. So have a great weekend. It's a gorgeous day out there, so we're off out and tomorrow. So enjoy yourselves, and I'll speak to you again hopefully next week when there'll be lots of trains running. Great. Okay, people. Take care, and I'll speak to you again soon. So bye for now. Bye.